Welcome back. Happy Monday, my friends, and for my two compatriots here that are both wearing their number 15 Patrick Mahomes jerseys, a very happy day after the Super Bowl to both of you.
You should just not say the word Patriots because we're Chiefs fans.
Patriots.
So, I mean, yeah, but it's all right.
It's a word.
Championship Monday.
How about those Chiefs? That was a big win for the Chiefs yesterday. It was a really good game, really close game. I really enjoyed watching it with all my friends and everything. But, man, Patrick Mahomes.
He got it done. He had a hell of a second half. He credit to him, credit to Andy Reid, credit to Eric Bieniemy. They seem to do a really, really good job of making adjustments when they needed to in the second half to keep moving the ball. As former Chiefs head coach Hank Stram would say, to keep matriculating the ball down the field.
Matriculate, baby.
They did a very, very good job of it. And again, the Eagles are no slouch. They were a very, very good team throughout the season. But the Chiefs made necessary adjustments. Obviously, they went into halftime down 10 points. And to me, I didn't think that was an insurmountable lead at all, knowing the Chiefs' offense. But they made really strong decisions in the second half. And Mahomes played very, very well. And they got it done.
There are two things I want to highlight coming off of this game. The first one is Eric Bieniemy happened to look at a past Eagles game where they were playing the Jacksonville Jaguars, and he saw that when they would run a jet sweep and they would turn around, so like Kadarius Toney, for example, would start running the jet sweep, turn around, go out to the flat, and Mahomes would hit him, and he scored a touchdown. Sky Moore did the same thing, same exact play on the opposite other side of the field. He saw that in the film, and that was all Eric Bieniemy. In my opinion, Eric Bieniemy should be a head coach this upcoming year. I don't know if that's actually going to happen or not. The other thing I want to highlight is how the Chiefs' offensive line did not give up a sack against this amazing Philadelphia front line, this amazing Philadelphia defense that we heard about so much throughout this entire season. Chiefs did not give up a sack. Now, is that credit to the offensive line? 100%. But also Mahomes being able to get out of the pocket and make plays happen on his feet. Absolutely.
No, he did. And the guys coming out of the backfield did a great job as well. Pacheco did a great job.
They did.
Jerick McKinnon played a great role like he's continued to play throughout the season. I said it while we were watching the game yesterday, but I think, the Jerick McKinnon signing of the offseason, bringing him back, was huge and has really played out very, very well for the Chiefs. The other signing I would say that I think we've maybe talked about before, Carlos Dunlap. And then the final piece, somebody that you just touched on, credit to Brett Veach for going out and getting Kadarius Toney at the trade deadline. Something wasn't happening. There was some issue with him and the Giants organization that he wasn't getting time and he wasn't being utilized effectively.
Wasn't working out with him.
But boy, this move to the Chiefs, I mean, not only did he get to go to a Super Bowl caliber team, but he's been a spark plug on offense in a number of games.
Not only on offense, but on special teams as well with his long putt return.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. So credit to the Chiefs front office for those three moves. I think all three of those moves were really good. Juju had a nice second half.
He did.
Juju, I feel like he's been kind of off and on this season. Obviously, he's dealt with a little bit of injury stuff, but Juju had a nice second half. The offensive guys that you needed to see step up did just that.
When it seemed like Kelsey had kind of gone down with maybe an arm injury or something like that during the second and third quarter, Juju stepped up. I mean, he was, when Mahomes needed a big play, he was looking for Juju. He was able to get the first downs with Juju. Juju was there. And so that leads me into my next question is, do the Chiefs sign Juju for next year.
Was he just on a 1-year deal?
He was on a 1-year deal. So
I think you bring him back.
He's a free agent.
I think you bring him back because if you don't, you're still going to have to fill that spot. And he's their wide receiver 1.
Right now he is, yeah.
There's probably a good chance that Hardman's gone. So you've got that spot to fill now too. I think MVS is still under contract.
You would think like Kadarius Toney could fill that McCole Hardman spot. They're similar players. They play the similar type roles.
Right. But Toney's already got his roster spot. So
exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I think that they bring back Juju. I think Juju wants to be in Kansas City from what I've seen.
He said he wants to be in Kansas City. I think he's happy
here.
Yeah.
Pretty hard to argue with
winning a Super Bowl.
Coming to a team and winning a Super Bowl the first year.
Yeah.
I think the Chiefs want him here. I think he seems to be a pretty decent guy. Seems to be pretty involved in the community.
He's slowed down his TikToks a little bit, but yeah, he does have a good charity going on throughout the community, and he like I said, he wants to be here. He wants to play with Patrick Mahomes. He wants to grow his wide receiver, I don't know, accolades.
Wants to continue to build his resume. Continue to build upon his career.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So we'll see what happens next year. We'll see if we sign Juju again.
I think they will. And I wouldn't be surprised if they probably give him like a 3-year deal or something like that.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be surprised about that. Now, it's got to be for the right price
sure.
Because we're paying Mahomes a lot. We're paying Kelsey a lot. We're paying, we're probably going to franchise tag
Orlando
Brown. Yeah, Orlando
I'm telling
Brown.
you, I don't think they're going to do that.
You don't you're going to think they're going to let him go and maybe hopefully you draft a good left tackle
or sign somebody.
Left tackle is the most important position.
I know.
On the offensive line.
Okay, and the guy that you have right now is very middle of the road.
He is.
Like you're acting like you're going to be losing something huge. He's not doing an overwhelmingly good job. And they're paying the caliber that they have paid him at for the 2 years that he's been here.
Right.
He's been paid top 5 money. So, when you franchise a guy, you've got to pay them the average of the top 5 salary of that position. Yep. How are you going to rationalize that for the 15th best rated player at that position?
I just think they're going to franchise tag him. They're not going to draft a left tackle. I have a feeling about that. I don't know.
But why wouldn't they maybe go sign somebody instead? Maybe there's somebody on the roster that they want to give a shot to.
Who's out there? Who's on our roster? There's no one on our roster that
how
they're
many
sign.
left tackles names do you know in the NFL? I don't know who's out there. I don't know what the left tackle market looks like.
I know one.
Orlando Brown.
Yeah.
No, but yeah. So if you had to take a pick for next year's Super Bowl, who would you choose? Way too early. Let's do.
Who do I think's going to be in it?
Yeah, way too early picks. Who's going to be in it? Who's going to win? Go for it.
The Cleveland Browns and the.
Hey, you gotta think big. Eagles.
I would say the Eagles. I think they're going to be good next year.
The Eagles are young. They're up and coming for sure.
I'm interested to see how the Niners look when Purdy comes back.
Okay.
Obviously, that's going to be a big question mark. Like, he's going to have time to get the necessary surgery during the offseason, but elbow surgery, I mean, that's a big deal for a quarterback.
He's basically getting like Tommy John type surgery, right?
Yeah. So,
what do you guys think about looking for a new kicker?
Yeah.
It's so funny because him being the deciding factor, kicking that field goal at the end of the game, you're sitting there, and I'm sure I wasn't the only one who was sitting there thinking, boy, how funny of it that it comes down to Butker, given how this season has gone. Obviously, it was a chip shot.
It was.
But Butker has had some pretty bad blunders this year.
I was being very quiet, sitting over there on my chair all by myself.
Oh, I don't think you were the only one.
And I was very nervous when Butker came up to try and make that field goal. I don't think we get rid of him. I still think he's...
What's his contract situation?
I have no clue, but I
I want to say they signed him to like a big extension recently.
I think he's a good kicker. I think he got the yips this year. I think he got hurt at the beginning of the year, first game of the season against Arizona on that same exact field. So he comes back, plays the Super Bowl on that field. He's got the yips a little bit, and he misses his first field goal, but then he comes out and wins the game and wins the Super Bowl for the Kansas City Chiefs. So he's an all right kicker, in my opinion.
I think that's exactly what we would call him this season. He was all right.
Yeah.
I agree. I would be nervous if I were a Chiefs fan, but again, when you've got an offense, that's also a position that things can switch on a dime. If you have 3 or 4 bad weeks to start the season, Chiefs might just cut him.
Right. But they stuck with him.
They did. I agree with you. I think for now it's still his job to lose.
I think you're probably right. It's a 6-year contract, so
That's what I thought. I thought
we
it
have
was
him through 24 seasons, so we got 2 more seasons.
I was gonna say I thought they'd sign him to a pretty long-term deal, especially for a kicker. And they did that pretty early, which shocked me. Sometimes, I mean, I don't know what they're paying him annually, but that's a pretty long deal for a kicker.
That is. I mean, but he was one of the best in the league for
but I
the
think
first
that was
couple of years.
just like after his first season.
Right. Well, the first couple of years, he was.
Well,
he was
but I
one
think
of the
he
best in the
signed
league.
that deal just after his first season, and I was kind of surprised that they'd sign him to that long of a deal as a kicker.
I gotcha.
But speaking of long-term deals, speaking of winning and losing, you guys, I believe, when sportsbooks had opened back in September, had placed a couple of bets. Am I correct?
Yes, I know I did, and I know Matt did for sure. Matt won his Super Bowl bet for sure.
Sure did. $50 for the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. Placed it back in September. Paid out $550.
Is that $550 cash?
Sure. Yeah. No bonus bull crap like BS Sportsbook. So mad about that. I had a $10 MVP bet on Barstool Sports, and the guy on the frickin' chat can't even tell me exactly what I got to do to pay it out. He's telling me $8, $40, $50. Basically, the message is just gamble some more, and you'll probably see those winnings one day.
Yeah, I won my Patrick Mahomes MVP bet. I did it on BetMGM, and I got that $400 at cash. Was able to.
What
is happening?
The hell was that?
Don't worry about it.
I got that $400 for cash. Was able to cash that out, but then bet on Barstool as well and put a Mahomes MVP bet for $25, and that is in those dumb free bonus bets that Matt was talking about earlier. So I don't know how to get that out. I think I got to spend some more money to make money. Scared money don't make money, so you just got to kind of do it. But yeah, it was a good weekend. I won a lot of money. This weekend. $200 down on Chiefs money line. That hit. Travis Kelce anytime touchdown. That hit. Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown. That hit. Let's ride. Feeling pretty good today.
That's what I like to hear. And going on big bets hitting and winning, that actually brings me to this week's Dick of the Week, the Dow.
The Dow of the Week.
No, just the Dow.
Just the Dow.
The Dow wow.
He's been talked about on the podcast before.
I was going to say, I think we've discussed this.
I think he was a hostile takeover.
Individual, yes.
A few weeks ago, yeah.
The alleged Xavier Michael Babudar.
Badabar. I think.
Pretty sure it's Babudar.
Is it Babudar?
What inside knowledge do you have that makes you think it's pronounced differently than what I said?
I thought it was a D instead of a B. I don't know.
I think it's Babudar.
I can have my 6-year-old sit down with you, Mike, and show you the difference.
6-year-old
That's
tutor.
Fine. He don't need no tutor.
Hooked on phonics.
But anyway, what's Chiefsaholic up to these days?
Well, there was some rumblings coming out of Tulsa, where he had been
Allegedly
held.
He was allegedly visiting the city of Tulsa.
Yes. And he has allegedly been held in custody for several weeks now, probably like, what, a month and a half?
for allegedly robbing a bank, right?
A teacher's credit union.
Okay.
A teacher's credit union. Come on. But his big persona, over the last couple of years was he started making these bets when sportsbook betting went live in Kansas. He was doing some of the bets that you guys were talking about, but on a larger scale, putting $5,000 down on some of these individual bets.
Way more money.
For Mahomes to win MVP, for the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. So the Mahomes bet hit on Thursday.
Okay.
The Super Bowl wasn't until Sunday. All these rumblings start coming out Friday morning that a motion, or maybe it was Thursday, that a motion had been filed for him to be granted a temporary supervised release, essentially. What he was requesting to be able to do was to be released on bond, have the bail bondsman or the bond officer that
bonded him out. Yeah.
Accompany him to Arizona for a quote unquote alleged pre-planned family vacation. Just happens to be that the same weekend the Super Bowl is going on in Arizona.
Wouldn't you know?
That request was declined.
Okay.
But he is out on bond currently. He has become active. He is tweeting once again. He tweeted out today saying that at some point his side of the story will be told, but it's got to be for the right price. And he's not at liberty to say anything else right now at the advisement of his legal counsel. But it appears that the overall theme is that he's kind of just been in little legal issues for his entire adult life, little petty crimes here and there. It certainly seems like he upped his ante a little bit with the robbing banks.
Sure does.
The other stuff was very minor stuff. And it seems like maybe he just kind of comes from a household where things like that happen, from what I've read. But nevertheless, he robbed a teacher's credit union.
Right.
And so that's why I am highlighting him as this week's Dick of the Week.
And then, it seemed like he was trying to get out to be able to go to the Super Bowl. And obviously, like you said, that was declined. But it just makes him even more of a dick, in my opinion, because, dude, we know you're a big Chiefs fan, but, you robbed a teacher's credit union.
A teacher's credit union.
You're trying to get out to go to the Super Bowl. How do you have money to go to the Super Bowl if you're robbing a teacher's credit union? I don't know.
That's how you have money.
He seems like a real big dick of the week, and I'm here for it. So
or maybe
he
a small
sucks.
Dick of the week.
Maybe he's got a small dick. I don't know.
Matt can look it up on your computer later.
What do I punch into Google, Mike?
Anyway, speaking of other things going on down in Arizona,
it was a big weekend out in the Phoenix, Scottsdale, Glendale metropolitan area.
We had a big weekend down there in Arizona. The Waste Management Phoenix Golf Open,
the biggest party in golf,
the Wasted Open, from what I've heard from some people, was happening down this week. Scotty Scheffler ended up winning. He hit an eagle in his last one of his last 3 holes. I want to say it was hole 17 that he hit that eagle on to win that Open. Now, Nick Taylor, who I've never heard of.
Oh, he was a dark horse. A wild card.
Never heard of Nick Taylor. He's been a pro for 10 years. I guess he's only won 2 PGA tournaments in his lifetime.
Okay.
One back in 2014, one back in 2020. But he put up a really good fight, and he was with Scotty Scheffler until the very end.
Right until the end.
Until probably about the last 2 holes when Scotty hit that eagle to be able to win that tournament. But that was a really fun time. And I mean,
it's electric out there.
You
see the videos from fans. Obviously, the 16th hole.
Yeah, you look at hole 16. It's
wild,
crazy.
But I mean, there's nothing like it in golf. And I saw a clip today. This, if I'd known more about the guy and the background information, he could have potentially qualified for a Dick of the Week.
Okay,
but there was a guy that. Something had happened. I'm sure it was like some sort of drunk, disorderly type conduct. And this was at the tournament. But the video starts, there's a security guard that appears to have him in a headlock. And it's just holding him there, waiting for actual police, officers to arrive.
Right.
To help detain him. But this officer comes up and, I think he was on a bike.
Okay.
And he kind of just lets his bike go off to the side and immediately jumps in and kind of grabs the guy. And boy, he throws him to the ground.
Dang.
And this appeared to be in the fan area, but obviously not the type of interactions that you expect to see often at golf tournaments.
No kidding. Yeah.
I mean, this dude got slammed into the ground by that cop, and the people around are cheering, and the security guard in the purple shirt who initially had him in the hold is just sitting there on the video like this after the guy got slammed down.
Oh my gosh.
Was he good looking?
The security guard or the man who got slammed down?
Okay.
The man that got slammed.
I wasn't able to get a really good look at him. He looked like he had long hair. Looked kind of hippie-ish. Maybe.
Long hair is nice.
I'm not saying homeless, but
wasn't there was something crazy that went on at the Waste Management Open? There was a streaker, right?
So there was a streaker, which is just really giving Happy Gilmore vibes.
Yes,
I'm here for it. I started scrolling through the comment section after the Foreplay Pod had posted something about it, and they had just posted it 25 minutes before, so it was pretty early in the post. But I knew I was still going to find it, and there it was, just where I wanted to see it. Go back to your shanties. That one of my favorite quotes from Happy Gilmore.
Yep.
Damn you people. Go back to your shanties. What a treat. This guy just sprints down, jumps in the belly flops into the water. He's got his areas covered to the point where it's not indecent exposure.
It's almost like he had like a Speedo on, right?
Yeah.
It was something along those lines. Yeah.
And he's got written on his back the 19th hole with an arrow pointing down to his ass
To
crack.
his asshole.
What an absolute gem.
Yep.
And then he swims double down. He swims over to the island where nobody can get to him, and he's just kind of chilling there for a while, and all the cops are sitting on the other side just waiting for him. They're like, come on, you're going to have to at some point.
You got to come back at some point.
And he's finally just like, all right, I'll swim back over. But what a treat.
I mean, yeah.
What an absolute beaut.
Just to add to another great thing that happened down in Arizona this week, you had a streaker at the Waste Management Open. But, I mean, you talk about good things going on. How about we move into some dad jokes? You good with that? You guys ready for that? Are you guys ready for these dad jokes that I got written up here today?
We'll see.
You did prepare for the podcast
How prepared
today?
are you?
I did. I'm very prepared.
All right. Well, with that, we enter into Mike's Dad Jokes, sponsored by Travis Koppel and the Platinum Realty, the Jenkins team. Travis is a local Kansas City guy. He loves all your Kansas City teams. He's KU guy, Chiefs guy, Royals guy. I know he was celebrating. I saw he had a flag out in front of his house celebrating the Chiefs' victory. But he's licensed in Kansas and Missouri. He really likes the opportunity to be able to help first responders get into homes, as that is a community he comes from. But with the Jenkins team, no pressure, just results, and contact Travis. Damn it, almost got through it. Contact Travis at 961-7110. And now for the dad jokes.
All right. You guys want to hear a joke about paper? Never mind. It's terrible anyway.
Uh-huh.
Crickets?
2.9.
What kind of egg did the evil chicken lay?
Devil egg, probably.
Yep, 100% correct. Deviled egg.
Bruh.
What do you get from a pampered cow?
Soft beef.
Nope.
Something milk related.
Just spoiled milk. Because they're pampered, so you gotta, they're spoiled, you know? Spoiled milk. Okay.
You got another really good one, don't you?
Is that it?
Nope, that was it.
Was it?
That was
That was 3.
That was a doozy of a segment. That was a doozy of a segment.
Do we need to do 4 from now on?
As long as if one's decent, we can stick with 3. But if the 3 are bad,
But look at the judge of the 3. I mean,
Yeah, who's judging?
we're judging them when you read them, but you're initially judging them when you read
I thought
them.
there was 2 of those that were pretty funny.
I'm gonna get a bag of Laffy Taffy and I'm gonna bring it in here, and we could just work off that.
yo, that's not a bad idea. We have a
Yeah.
backup list, and
Yeah.
when Mike
Let's
doesn't
get a bag.
deliver,
Let's get a bag of Laffy Taffy.
I mean, we
in
have
here.
this calendar over here that I could just start reading things off of.
Well, we tried that
It
already
appears that you're still on January.
Yeah, it's still in January right now.
on a Monday, no less. Almost like a podcast was going on in here.
But the one thing I will say is, Mike, we often give Mike grief about not keeping up on things in his home. And we were thrilled to walk into his living room and see that the Christmas tree and the stockings are now put away.
And there was a vacuum out down there. I was vacuuming
There's
earlier.
a vacuum out.
Yeah.
So we now have confirmation that Mike owns one.
I was vacuuming earlier.
I'm enthused. Speaking of people that are enthused, we saw LeBron break the points record, the official NBA all-time points record, passing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who was in attendance at the game. A lot of pageantry surrounding that happened right in the moment.
Yeah, I didn't like how he broke the record with like 3 seconds left in the third quarter. And then they stopped the entire game. They had a big celebration right at that exact moment. They didn't wait till the game to end or anything like that. And then LeBron did not play the entire rest of the fourth quarter. And his team is still trying to fight for a playoff spot. And they ended up losing that game. So, like, congrats to you, LeBron, on breaking that record. I know that's a big milestone. I know that's a big record to break. But, like, if you were really a team player, don't you want to try and win that game? Get your team to the playoffs and get your team to try and, I don't know, compete for a championship. Like, I know you broke the record. You broke Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's record.
Jabul-Jabbar.
Yeah, that's a mouthful. But Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's record. But, dude, don't be all about yourself. Go try and win it for your team.
It's funny you say that because I have kind of always thought of LeBron being a little bit kind of more about himself and promoting his brand, doing his little business ventures, all that.
Right.
That's kind of always how, and don't get me wrong, I've liked LeBron. Since LeBron is a Cleveland guy, I've always kind of had appreciated him. He brought the first sports title to Cleveland in God knows how long. But I learned something when I saw that he broke the points record that I didn't realize, going along the lines of not always being about himself. And this is more on the court, like when he's playing. But LeBron is 4th all time in assists.
Yes, he's got more assists than Michael. He's got more assists than.
Well, he's got way more than Kareem or Michael. Kareem and Michael are like 48th and 50th on the list, respectively.
He's a way more team player in that aspect. But I just think,
and I'm not arguing with what you're saying about the off the court stuff at all.
I think that maybe relays more to the Lakers organization on how they handled that situation, maybe.
I think that's a part of it. But
instead of it wasn't just LeBron. Like, I'm sure LeBron didn't say, "Hey, if I break this record, let's just stop the game wherever it's at and like have a celebration for me." I'm sure LeBron didn't say that.
Yeah,
but like
I agree with you. I think that's a post game thing.
It should be. Yeah.
I think it's really odd they stopped the game. You don't see that in sports. These things happen. You can make a quick announcement over the speaker to say congratulations to LeBron James, who is now the all-time points leader in the NBA. They can give him a standing ovation, take 90, 120 seconds, something like that.
And then have a celebration after the game. Like,
yeah, I agree with you. So I think that could have been done a little differently.
Right.
Speaking of people who like to do things a little differently,
let's get on into it.
Our the embattled, what is it, 3-time MVP?
I think he is, yeah. I think he's got
3-time NFL MVP, 1-time Super Bowl champion, Aaron Rodgers. What happened to Baker over there? Baker's laying down.
One too many beers after last night's win.
Looks like it, my guy.
He was celebrating the Chiefs' victory,
Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers goes on the Pat McAfee show last week and says, I don't know what I'm going to do as far as the future of my career, but I am going to do a 4-day darkness retreat where I am alone in a pitch black room with nothing but my thoughts.
That does not sound fun to me at all. I mean, you can't even, supposedly he cannot even bring like a radio or something to like even listen to a podcast or anything like that.
No. It's alone with only your thoughts. And you don't have anything to stimulate you otherwise.
Sounds like you're being put in the hole, like in prison.
Right.
Like he's being put in the hole.
It's like solitary confinement.
He gets fed through a slot in the door. Yeah. That doesn't, I mean, maybe it works for him to help him try and clear his mind, to help him try and figure out what he wants to do next year. But
where does Aaron Rodgers find these places that offer services like a 4-day retreat where you've got a prison housekeeper to feed you slide in your tray?
I'd probably go to Craigslist.
I was going to say Google, but I don't know.
And just ask for somebody to come over and do this in your house?
Someone was probably advertising it, and he thought that sounds good.
No, he said he's going to this house where it's got like 4 rooms or something like that, and they are blacked out dark rooms. He's gonna go in there, stay there for 4 days, lock himself in there with just his thoughts.
Well, didn't he say this like early last week, and he said he was getting ready to do it?
I think he's doing it.
I think he's doing it right now.
I think he's doing it right now.
I was gonna say, I think he's probably finishing up.
Yep.
Do you guys know if he's wearing clothes?
That's a good question.
You probably don't need to wear
thought
clothes.
about that.
Blankets, pillows, like what's he sleeping on? Like a normal bed? Or
is it temperature regulated, or
how
do
are you
they
supposed
just
to find the bed if it's pitch black and you can't see anything?
Well, you could feel around. You don't lose your senses.
Well, don't stub your toe on too many things. God dang.
Well, yeah, you'd probably move as someone would move when they're in a pitch black room.
Right.
Timidly.
Yeah.
Tentatively.
Do you think it's a professional place with like a panic button he can slap?
Or
do you think he's locked in there?
He did say on Pat McAfee's show.
Is there a safe word?
He did say, I don't know about a safe word. He said he could be let out at any time that he wanted to. So if he wanted to be let out, he could get let out. It's basically just a retreat for him to try and go clear his mind and figure out what he wants to do with the rest of his life. I don't know.
Besides the Milwaukee Bucks owner. Or owner's daughter, sorry.
Okay.
Very different.
Allegedly. And speaking of allegedly, Speaking of people, speaking of current or former Green Bay
Packers
quarterbacks who have maybe had some mud thrown on their name. Brett Favre. Alleged Favre.
Brett Favre has allegedly sued Pat McAfee and Shannon Sharp for defamation of his name because of how they talked about him on each of their individual shows because of his money scandals that he's been having going
Allegedly.
Alleged. You used alleged in the wrong place there and then didn't use it
on.
in the right
Alleged
place.
money scandals that he's been having going on.
Welfare scandal with the state of Mississippi. Yes. So now Brett Favre is taking the battle to the people who have been dragging his name through the mud. Pat McAfee, Shannon Sharp, was it like NBC as well? Was there a media conglomerate that was also part of this?
Yes, I think it was NBC.
Okay. Boy, between Patrick Reed and our dick of the week from a couple weeks ago and Brett Favre, NBC's really getting hammered with lawsuits for defamation of character lately. I'll bet neither of them get paid out.
But, you know, like, I just don't think... I don't know what Brett Favre's end goal is here. Pat McAfee's a good guy. If you watch his show, you listen to him, he's not really trying to bring his name down in the mud. He's just trying to report the news that is going on around big sports personalities in the world right now.
Pat McAfee didn't tie Brett Favre to an alleged multi-million-dollar scandal defrauding the people of Mississippi. Brett Favre associated himself with that. Now, whether he's
Allegedly.
guilty, no, he associated himself with. I'm not saying he's guilty of anything. I'm not saying he's associated with the investigation into it.
Right.
Pat McAfee didn't put him in that room or whatever rooms he was in or whatever conversations he was in.
Exactly.
But it's interesting to see him kind of coming after. I think Pat's handled it in jest. I've seen him crack a couple of jokes about it on his show.
He's been a good guy about it. He's been cracking jokes. He's basically saying he's not even going to get a lawyer and he's just going to show up in court and tell his side of the story, which, in my opinion, is a truthful story that he didn't really do anything wrong. So we'll see what happens. We'll follow up on this here in a few weeks or a few months, depending on how long this court process goes. Or never. We'll see. But I think we move into...
It's time for Matt's Hostile Takeover. China style.
Well, maybe China. Definitely
no.
something foreign, though. That's for sure.
Foreign?
So
UFO?
definitely UFO. So, you guys know what happened at the beginning of the Super Bowl that maybe the TV wasn't showing?
No.
What happened at the beginning of the Super Bowl?
Was there a flyover or something?
The U.S. Air Force was scrambling and knocking down an unidentified object over Lake Huron.
I thought they just did one.
Huron? Up in the Great Lakes.
Huron?
Didn't they
Huron. You had it right the first time. Huron.
Didn't they just knock down a UFO up in Alaska?
So, yeah, that was actually the third object they've knocked out of the sky since the spy balloon.
What is happening?
Something I forgot to mention last week, that was the first known confirmed kill of a F-22 over there on the East Coast in Carolina. So that's pretty cool. And since then, I think they've at least shot one of them. I know F-16s are involved in some of these objects.
Okay.
But no one's claiming responsibility for them, and the U.S. isn't accusing anyone of flying these objects.
Okay. 1 to 2 questions to bounce off of this.
Bounce them.
Bouncing around. That's the Rihanna song she should have played. Bath salts.
Okay.
Is that one of her songs?
Yeah. It's Lemon with N-E-R-D. Actually, I think it's by N-E-R-D, but Rihanna's featured in it. But they just shout bath salts throughout the song, and I think that's kind of funny.
I'm going to have to give that a listen.
I digress.
Your question.
My question is, 1, do we think that the U.S. has been doing a good enough job being aware of these objects, or do we think more of these objects have been flying around and the U.S. finally just realized something and now they've been putting on a heightened state of alert?
Yeah, so these are good questions. The theory, if this is in fact from this world, is that these objects are likely intended to figure out how responsive and how well our detection systems work in the U.S. Like, let's fly it over the U.S. and see how long till they notice, how they react, what they do. How long does it take to shoot down an object of this size flying over at this altitude in America? In other words, how long could one of our missiles survive?
So are we closing in on a World War III right here, or what is happening here?
Probably not, but maybe. No, probably not.
Certainly hope not. I'm not trying to get drafted.
But
I think we're too old now, aren't we?
my suspicion is
Depends
that
how
it
they
is
go.
China or Russia, and maybe these even like
China.
yeah, thank you. Maybe these even came from the big spy balloon, right? This big spy balloon comes and hangs at 60,000 feet and then sprinkles these other tiny balloons and they sink lower to 20,000 feet. And that's ultimately
Balloon sprinkles.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they were. That's why the government decided to shoot them down, is because they were posing a risk to aviation because they were flying much lower. The reports that have come out are wild. Some of them saying they were spherical, except like a cylindrical.
Cylindrical?
Yeah, that Mike, very nice.
There we go.
I'm not going to repeat that.
Cylindrical.
Cylindrical. Thank you. I think I had to hear it twice. But was unclear how they were flying. That seems disingenuous. I feel like
Was unclear how they were flying, like how they were keeping themselves in the air.
yeah, to me that just says we don't want to
Yeah,
say how they were flying.
exactly.
I don't know.
I feel like that would be pretty evident how something was keeping itself.
Yeah. But there's been all kinds of UFO talk, alien invasion talk. You know, good thing we shot down those aliens before they said hello, kind of thing. I don't think that's the case that's happening though. Another witness.
I feel like if it was aliens, it would be way swept under the rug. Like Area 51 stuff, like we would not be talking about it. Like the government would not even be putting it out there.
I think with how prevalent cameras are and stuff everywhere, I think it's almost harder to do that anymore. If you scramble jets, and the FAA has been closing airspace left and right over Montana, over the Chicago area, you know, by the Great Lakes and all that, like. I don't know that they have to give an excuse. They have to say what they were doing. So
maybe it is a UFO.
We may not be hearing the truth.
I'm
That's
just
totally
picturing
possible.
the aliens from Scary Movie 3.
Yeah.
You remember how they peed?
Yes. Yes.
Out their finger.
Yep. And they're making fun of signs in that movie.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
I have not ever
Eight
seen
Mile,
that movie.
among other ones.
Yes. Yeah, they do.
They say goodbye by kicking you in the crotch.
Okay.
I think South Park also does a thing.
If you've never seen Scary Movie 3,
I've never seen that one.
If you've never seen Scary Movie 3, and I'm saying this to all of our listeners as well, if you haven't seen it, you need to take the time to do it. It's really dumb, but it's really funny, and I will quote so many different lines from that movie.
Signs is a decent movie. I remember
Till the
anyways.
day
I
die.
remember watching Signs.
I've
Signs
never
was a
even
good
seen
movie.
Signs.
You should. What other movies should people watch before they go watch Scary Movie 3?
8 Mile, Signs.
You don't have to watch 8 Mile.
Scream?
To appreciate it, though.
No,
None of them you have to watch.
Yeah. Because I haven't seen like any of the movies that it makes fun of, and I still think it's hilarious. 8 Mile, Signs.
You sure it's not Scream? I thought Scream
is
was
like the first one.
Okay.
Probably Elements though. It's like a classic scary movie.
Yeah, there wasn't too many elements of Scream in that one. The Ring. That was the other one that was really big in it.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Where she's coming out of the TV.
Yeah.
I've seen that movie too. Yeah. So I guess I'm ready to watch
Another
Scary
little
Movie
whitey
3.
down the hole.
But back to the real aliens.
Sorry.
All right. Another eyewitness described one of these objects as octagonal.
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 Octagonal. That sounds more right.
I think it depends on where you're from. I'm going to say octagonal. Octagonal. But basically, they're not saying, the whole truth or everything they saw. No one's claiming that those were theirs, right? No, China asked for the spy balloon back. China hasn't asked for these ones back.
Interesting.
What was our response to
did
China?
we tell them if
What
we were
did we
going to
say to China?
Are we going to give it back to them or not?
I hope not.
I don't know that we've really responded. I think
That's a response in itself.
Yeah, I think we made some comment that was basically reiterating what happened without any answer to their demand.
You could say the United States left them on red.
Yes.
Pretty much. And the other thing, which I'm drawing a blank here, but it's important. You guys brought it up pretty quick, but we digressed into Scary Movie.
Sorry.
Is America doing a good job detecting these? Has this always happened? Has this always been going on?
Have these been floating around over us for months, if not years, and somebody just finally realized something?
Yeah, I think we'll never know the full truth. I think part of it is like they're testing someone, aliens otherwise, is testing our radar capabilities, and we don't want to let them know. We might let it float all the way across the country before shooting it down. We might let it go all the way from Montana to the Great Lakes before shooting it down.
But maybe they detected it beforehand, but they're trying to... They're playing the game. They're playing the game with China,
They go, look, we think there's something pretty little up there. It's unlikely that's a nuclear warhead. And I would also like to hope that there's some other intelligence coming that we expected these. I would like to believe America expects these. But one thing that did trigger all this is after the spy balloon, all the radars have been put into enhance mode and extra scanning, and everyone's a little more on edge and going,
Enhance.
hey, here's this blip.
Enhance.
Here's this blip. Yeah. So pretty interesting. Honestly, I think it'll be a tiny footnote in this whole year, but it is fascinating, mostly because it just brings all these secret operations into the limelight, right? And it makes us speculate wildly.
And it brings the UFO talk back into play. I mean, like, I feel like it's been a while since there's been some good UFO talk that, like, aliens are coming to invade the Earth. So I think that helps out a lot.
You guys remember a few years ago, sorry, that just made me think of this. You guys remember a few years ago that event on Facebook that was like Storm Area 51 or whatever?
Yes,
100%.
With the plants.
We haven't really talked much about UFOs or anything since then. I think Mike might be right. Just got to stir up some controversy.
Yep. Let's storm Area 51.
The aliens
let's
are
see
pissed.
what's in there.
The aliens are pissed we've forgotten about them, and they're just trying to remind us that they're still
They're
around.
still out there.
And for those who don't remember, the plan was to Naruto run into the base because they would never catch you.
Your arms are like back behind you,
do you
right?
want me to show what a Naruto run is?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Stay kind of squatted. The camera's low. Excellent.
That went better than we could have even hoped. Mike's lucky that his window's still intact.
Oh, man. Almost crashed through the window.
But with that, we're going to Naruto run on out of here. Another week. The Super Bowl week. There's a parade here in Kansas City on Wednesday. You might see one or more of us checking in from the parade.
Maybe.
Not me.
We want to leave it a surprise, Matthew.
Sorry.
Got to tease him a little bit. But it's been a fun week. We had a lot of cool stuff to talk about. And then, next week we're rolling into the off season for the NFL. We're going to find some other topics to talk about. We'll still have your traditional segments, but we'll find some other fun stuff to talk about during this kind of little hiatus where there's not as much in the sports world going on here for the next few weeks.
I mean, we got NBA and NHL to talk about, but yeah,
NHL. But yeah, with that, check us out. Instagram, there's always next to your podcast. Twitter, TANY, TANY _ pod, POD. Facebook, there's always next to your podcast. And there's always next to your pod on Instagram. Sorry, I messed that up, guys. And
Click the link below.
YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Google, subscribe,
Anywhere
review,
you get your
comment.
podcasts. But don't forget, there's always next year.
Are we really making a podcast or are we just hanging out?
It feels like both right now. We probably better get through NFL.